The question: a man can swim at the rate of 5 km per hour in still water. A 1 km wide river flows at the rate of 3 km per hour. The man wishes to swim across the river directly opposite to the starting point. So we have to find out three things here. So first is along which direction must he swim. Second is what should be his resultant velocity. And the last is how much time will he take to cross the river. So important thing is that he wants to cross it from point A to point B, which basically means we can draw the figure like this. Let us suppose this is point A and he want to reach the point B. Point B. So in the question it's given that he should be reaching the point B, which is directly opposite to it. So if VR is the velocity of the river in this direction, and let us say this is the x coordinate and this is the y coordinate, then the swimmer must be swimming in this direction. Let us call this as Vs, velocity of the swimmer, and it's making an angle of theta with a vertical line AB. So we can say that this will be our VR, and let us suppose the velocity, the resultant velocity is called as V1. Okay. So in this case we can directly use the trigonometric formula to find out A, that is angle, and we also know that this is 90 degree. Okay, so we can find out sine of theta. Sine of theta will be equal to VR, velocity of the river, divided by velocity of the swimmer. So we know the velocity of the river is given as 3 and velocity of the swimmer is given as 5. So theta will be equal to sine inverse 3 by 5, so which implies that theta will be equal to 37 degree. Now it is asked along which direction must he swim. Okay, so direction in which the swimmer must swim is given along with respect to x-axis. Okay, is given or found out with respect to x-axis. So we can see that angle with which swimming will be theta plus 90 degree. So with theta we already know is 37 plus 90. So angle will be coming as 127 degree with the x-axis, or sometimes it is also called as with respect to flow of the river. With respect to flow of the river. So this was the first part. In the second part, in the B part, we are going to find out what will be his resultant velocity. Okay, so we already said that resultant velocity is denoted by V1. So resultant velocity, which is equal to V1. So we can use directly the Pythagoras theorem. Okay, it states that V1 will be equal to velocity of the swimmer square minus velocity of the river square and its square root. Okay, so this is by Pythagoras theorem. So we can see that V1, velocity of the swimmer is given as 5, river is given as 3, so we get V1 is equal to coming as 4 km/h. And then the C part, it is asked that how much time it is going to take to start from point A and point B. So we say let if T is the time taken by the swimmer from point A to point B, then this T will be equal to distance of the river, that is given as D, distance of the river D, and velocity, which is V1. So V1 we already know, and D is also given. D is given as 1, and V1 we already found out is given as 4. So time is equal to 1 by 4. So we can find out that this T will be equal to 0.25 hours. So this will be time which it takes to cross the river from point A to point B. So important thing is here is that only the direction of the velocity in y axis will be the only we are going to consider for the calculation of time. So that's why it is always given as T divided by the velocity of the component which is in y axis. So the time, you can say that time to cross the river, time to cross the river is only affected by, or rather we can say dominated by the velocity component, the velocity component which is in, okay, so we can say the time to cross the river is only dominated by the velocity component which is along y axis. So this is the important part we should always consider while finding the time to cross the river. If you want to travel exactly this across the river perpendicularly from point A to point B, then it is always considered that it is dominated by the velocity component which is along the y axis. Okay, so that's why it is always taken as V1, or it can be also taken as Vs cos of theta. That will be the component which will be along the river. Vs we can divide into two components. In this direction it will be Vs sine of theta, and in this direction it will be Vs cos of theta. Okay, so either way we are going to find out what will be the time taken by the swimmer to cross the river from point A to point B. Thank you.